Let's go to Jason Isaacson. He's the Chief Policy and Political Affairs Officer at the American Jewish Community. He joins me from Washington, D.C. Thanks for your time, Jason. Now, Zelenskyy there in Washington has been very careful to present this as a global issue, as a global fight against Russian aggression. What do you make of that strategy?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it's true. It's not just the people of Ukraine who are fighting this war for territorial integrity and the freedom of that country. It's pushing back against tyranny, against the whole very notion of being able to seize territory in another country without provocation, without justification, illegally, to commit war crimes with impunity. This is a fight really for all of us, not just for the people of Ukraine. And the president made that very clear.
What do you think about the optics of this trip? It's been very symbolic on the Ukrainian president's part, presenting Biden with a medal from the battlefield, bringing in a battlefield flag there. It's a good look for Zelenskyy. I wonder how that might go across in the Kremlin. What do you think about the optics of the trip?
Well, I think it stings very badly, as it must, in the Kremlin, and it speaks to the people of the United States, and I think all freedom-loving people around the world. The fact that he actually directed his comments not just to the President of the United States, not just to the Congress of the United States, by the way, very clearly, repeatedly to both parties and both houses of the Congress of the United States, but also directly to the American people, to American families, who he wanted to identify with the struggle of the people of Ukraine, of the families of Ukraine, at Christmas time, in war, in the middle of winter, the families of Ukraine who are being brutalized by the Kremlin, by President Putin. And it was a very emotional, a very direct, very personal appeal, and I believe it resonated powerfully across this country, and frankly, I believe around the world.
And it was very emotional. You could see that Zelenskyy looked like he was fighting back tears when he addressed some Ukrainians in the gallery, when he brought the flag out, when he talked about the situation for Ukrainians there. Do you think that will impact people there in the US who might, and in Congress, who might have been critical about the US spending so much money in Ukraine?
Of course, as you know, it was recently said by the next Speaker of the House that there's not necessarily going to be a blank check going forward for Ukraine. I think that some of the meetings that the President Zelenskyy had in Washington today probably chased away that kind of rhetoric. We're probably not going to be hearing that. There were a few members of Congress who were sitting on their hands when President Zelenskyy spoke, but you saw the reaction. You saw the spirit in that room. You saw the hero's welcome that President Zelenskyy received in Washington. And I think that speaks to the certainty, frankly, that this Congress, as the Congress just going out, the new Congress coming in, will support President Biden in his efforts to rally our country, but also the free world to oppose Russian aggression in Ukraine, stand with the people of Ukraine, stand with President Zelenskyy, the man of the year on the cover of Time magazine, and very, very definitely the man of the year in Washington.
Yes, I mean, he and Biden seemed very friendly, as did Zelenskyy and Pelosi, who obviously does have a lot of support there in Congress. And Zelenskyy also really pushed this line a couple of times about how close allies the US and Ukraine are. And yes, of course, they are allies, and the US is sending a lot of money and military supplies. And I'm just wondering whether or not Zelenskyy was sort of pushing that line maybe a little bit too far for comfort for the US. They are trying to walk a line of being an ally, but not being too directly involved to provoke the Kremlin.
It was very interesting. You heard the way he talked about the military equipment, the military supplies that the United States has been providing. And he, of course, thanked the United States, thanked the president, thanked the Congress for the very strong support, for the artillery systems and everything else, said that he's very clear in not wanting American troops to fight in Ukraine. He wants other equipment from the United States. He wants tanks and planes. He didn't say, please send me tanks and planes, but he said, we can fly the planes and we can operate the tanks. He clearly wants more. I believe that in time he will continue to receive further supplies that will be necessary to beat back Russian aggression. He talked about victory, settling for nothing less than victory, but at the same time also being prepared for a peace deal. It wasn't clear what that deal would entail, but I think this message of his uniting the causes that America stands for and the cause that the people of Ukraine are fighting for, referring to the Battle of the Bulge in World War II, the decisive defeat of the Nazi German offensive in late 1944, early 1945, referring to the decisive battle of the American Revolutionary War, the Battle of Saratoga in 1777. All of these references really speak to America, and I think we're so well. You saw how warmly they were received. He was celebrated. He was hailed as a hero in Washington, and deservedly so.
Yeah, it was a remarkable thing to watch, actually. Thank you for your time and analysis. That's Jason Isaacson, Chief Policy and Political Affairs Officer at the American Jewish Committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you.